All right, Cameron Mitchell here. Today, I'm gonna be talking about the mental battle of saving my first 10K. Now, for the most part, saving money is easy, right? But it's about how much can you save and how frequently can you save, because I work every day, almost every day, 5 to 6 days a week. But, we get paid once a week, or, depending on what the situation is. I know some of you may get paid, you know, bi-weekly. So just to put things into perspective, it feels slow coming in. You work so hard and it feels slow when that check finally does hit. And, don't get me wrong, I'm grateful. But when you sit back and think, damn, I spent all this time working this hard just for a few $100s. And maybe even if you are getting a check that's over $1,000, you feel like you put in more work than what you're seeing in your direct deposit, basically. So I'm understanding now, like, making money isn't just hard work. You can work hard and, let's say you wash dishes or you clean the floor, but you're the hardest working people in the entire facility, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get paid the most in the facility as well, because also what I'm realizing is money is a value exchange. What you could be doing is valuable, but on what level? What leverage are you bringing? What impact are you bringing? And, I'm not talking down on anybody's job, but me, for an example, like, I can't get mad that, my checks are only a certain amount when, what I'm doing right now may not be that valuable. So, that's something that I have to come to realize. And, like I said, I'm grateful for it. But in order to just, get to my first 10K, that is a repetitive process of going through that feeling like, damn, I worked this hard just to get this much. You know what I'm saying? And there's people out here that are probably working twice as hard, maybe three times, quadruple times as hard, and they're getting paid less. So it's like, where is the disconnect in this value? Like I said, wealth is not just money, it's the value that you create for somebody else. And for me, mentally, it's been trying to balance spending money the right way, or, at least put them in a category for investments rather than, blowing money on shoes or clothes or a new MacBook or a PC or a game. You know what I'm saying? So just trying to be more intentional with my spending without trying to be a cheapskate is probably another thing too, because once you hit like a certain amount in your account, for example, just last week I was at like 8,400, right? And I had a little more than 8,400, but once I got down to like $8,430, like, I already knew mentally, once I get down to like 8,300, okay, now, like, I've spent too much. So that $30 from the 800, 8,400 and $30, only $30 max could be spent, because I wouldn't want to go under that threshold, even though necessarily I have it. So it's like, I'm trying to build this abundance mindset, but while at the same time still thinking in lack, still thinking in scarcity. You know what I'm saying? Even though I have it, it's like, damn, I don't want to spend it because I don't want to see these numbers on the screen drop. You know what I'm saying? And that's just me personally. That's how I've been thinking about it. But understanding, like, money is a tool. It's not something that you're just supposed to look at all day and, see numbers or just see the cash stacked to the sky if you can't use it. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's where it makes sense if you're more intentional with your spending. Like, for an example, I just found out that my car, my 2002 Honda Accord, had an oil leak from the oil pan and the rear main seal, and it was $100 to get the car diagnosed. But I considered that something that couldn't be negotiated. You know what I'm saying? Like I had to pay that if I wanted to figure out what was going on with the car, because if I didn't, it would have cost me thousands. So it's one of those things like, okay, that makes sense because it's intentional, because it's going to end up saving me thousands rather than me just trying to hold on to that $100 and, the car breaks down or the car no longer is running. Um, but I don't know, man. Like I said, I think the hardest part is just trying to balance, like knowing that you have the money, knowing how much you can spend, and not feeling like, you know, um, money is scarce, because it's not. It's more so like my mindset around money is still constantly changing. Back in January when I had quit my job at Amazon, it's like, okay, I'm done trading my time for money. I'm done, working 10, 12-hour shifts. Now I work about 8. I can do 8 max, but it's like, still, have you really learned your lesson? Even though you're trading time for money, you're just trading less time for a little bit more money. Even though I am getting closer to, you know, where I want to be, it's like, that's only a goal. But what happens once I reach that goal? Am I gonna fall back into the same habits I had? Am I gonna fall back into the same pitfalls of feeling like, damn, now I want to quit this job to, eventually start the cycle all over again, just for the love of money, for the sake of money? You know what I'm saying? Like, what am I gonna do with this money? You know what I'm saying? So I think I'll figure all of that out once I get there. Not try to, you know, come up with an answer for all of my questions before I start moving, because that's not how life works. Um, but yeah, the biggest thing, well, another one of the biggest things with trying to get to my first 10K is like wanting to help people, but knowing like I haven't hit my goal yet, because I have family that I do want to help out, but it's like, is it the time yet? Because not only if you're helping somebody else, right? You're giving them money, you're giving them advice and things like that. And let's just say an emergency happens for you. And now it's like twice as much. So let's say, I don't know, um, your grandmother needs her car repaired, and it's gonna be 1,200, and you have that 1,200, and you have it to spend. You would have spent it on yourself, but instead you'll help her, right? Boom. Now you give her the money. Now something happens with you. Now what you're going through, that's gonna cost you about 1,500, and now you're already $2,700 in the hole. I wouldn't even say in a hole, but like you're $2,700 behind, when initially your plan was to just help because you had it to give. But now you gave it away for somebody else. You had to deal with your own stuff. So I think just being more, like I said, tracking your expenses and being more intentional and not being emotional about making decisions with your money, whether that is if you're me, for an example, I went boxing today, and the coach said that the membership would be $125 a month. Now, looking at it, is that a lot? Not really, but it's like, is it the time for me to spend it is the real question, because payments come up the first of the month. That's how he does his payments. So if you want to join the class, you have to be willing to pay on the first of the month. But knowing that the first of the month is also when bills and rent and mortgage and stuff is due, it's like, is this the right time even though I have it? Because trying to juggle this car situation, this job situation that may not be the most stable because it's a lot going on at work. And then, just like I said, car situation, the job situation, and just other side situations like trying to help somebody else. You make the wrong one move, or it feels like, and then everything that you work so hard for begins to crumble off one decision. So it's like, you really just have to be extremely intentional. And I know, and it sounds very contradictory, right? Because I know it's right, but in my heart, it's like, I have the wrong heart posture towards it. But like, I guess tithes and offering and giving your 10% to God so he can protect whatever that you have going on. It's like, I think that's really a big part. But part of me is like, okay, I don't want to give, you know what I'm saying? Because if I do give, it will be from obligation and not relation. And I don't want to do that. Like, not to get too sidetracked, but, um, and I feel like that's where the split mindset can be from, because I'm gonna just take y'all back before we get too deep off in it. You have Cain and Abel, right? Abel gave to God, from his heart. He gave the first fruits of everything he made, right? He gave from his heart. Cain gave what he wanted to give, and God didn't accept it. So it's like, if I feel in my heart that's where I'm at, not saying I'm Cain or nothing, but like, if I'm not giving from like my heart, if I'm not giving from, just genuinely wanting to give, like being a cheerful giver, it's like, why give at all? Because I just be dry giving. You know what I'm saying? Even though I know I'm supposed to give, but it's like, how do you muster up the desire to, give your 10% if, let's just say your check is only $600. I mean, that's $60, but it's like, damn, what am I pouring back into? You know what I'm saying? Of course, like without getting too deep, the kingdom of God and stuff like that. And I hate to, put that in quotations, but it's just like, it feels like it's for nothing. Like, it feels more like religious and what's the word? Like a tradition rather than a relationship. You see what I'm saying? In my opinion, that's just kind of where I'm at right now. But I feel like maybe if I did, build that relation and understand where that money was going to, I would be able to give from a better heart posture than I am now, which will ultimately, bring good things about. And good things doesn't necessarily mean just, bring more money, but certain doors will open, opportunities will open, certain doors will be closed because that's not where I'm really supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? But um, to say the least, y'all, the biggest thing about stacking 10K is knowing like it's not gonna be a cakewalk. It's not as easy. Well, let me not say it's not as easy. It's not as fast as I want it to be. And maybe that's for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Now, like, I'm appreciative of every check that I get. Like, lately, I've been wanting to leave the job that I'm at, but it's like every time I get ready to, job switch or job hop, it's like I'm so close to this goal. Like, why would I leave right now and, you know, delay my goal from another 2 weeks? You know what I'm saying? Another 2, 3 weeks when I could have just stayed and, got to my goal a lot quicker and just, you know, thugged it out. You know what I'm saying? Stuck through it. But, um, eventually I will need another job because where I'm at right now, it's messy, bro. It's a lot of stuff going on within the company, within the actual facility that I'm working at. But it's just so convenient because it's like 10 minutes from my house. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting paid $22 an hour. I'm in a manager position, so I'm getting manager experience, and I'm getting the, decent money, but it's just like something still feels like it's missing. And it may not even be completely on that end. It may be my perspective. I may be missing something that I should be learning from this job, but I'm just not emotionally invested like I feel like I should be, which is a thin line. I don't know if anybody should just be completely emotionally invested in a job, but it's like, it feels like it's coming to a dead end, if that makes sense. So it's like, why continue, you know what I'm saying, like giving your energy or, you know what I'm saying, allowing a job to, interfere with your peace or your mental state, even if it is bringing you money. You know what I'm saying? So that's just where I'm at right now, trying to balance like wanting freedom, knowing when to take off, when to, going for overtime, when to just realize like today is a rest of recovery so I can go back to work. You know what I'm saying? Like even today, I had took off tonight. I was supposed to go to work tonight, but I took off because I didn't want to go, simply because there was a lot going on yesterday. From the outside looking in, it's like, oh, he may be lazy or he doesn't want to work because, he's I don't know, fed up, I guess. But when you really think about it, it's like, in my eyes, if I just take today off, today and tomorrow, I might be able to stay another week. You know what I'm saying? Like, I may have the mental fortitude, the mental capacity to just, push through another week because I was able to recover, rest, and enjoy my off days. So it's not a sprint, bro. Reaching your first 10K, reaching your first 5K is not a sprint. Like, once you really get the systems in place and start realizing, like, when to do certain things, when to go in for overtime, when to take a break, you know what I'm saying? Then you'll be able to run the marathon effectively. Because if you sprint, you know what I'm saying, the first half mile, you're not gonna make it. You know what I'm saying? If you walk, you definitely not gonna make it. But you gotta just find your pace. You gotta find the correct system that works for you. And what may work for me may not work for you, and what works for you may not work for me. But that's why you can't look to the left, can't look to the right. You just gotta calculate your expenses based on how much you make. You know what I'm saying? Understand what your life is like, if you have children, or if you have car payments, or, you know what I'm saying, if you're looking out for a loved one. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta factor all of that in, because it's not hard. It's not hard, but it takes a lot longer than what you expect it to. But if you let it compound, bro, if you let it compound, like even $300 a week for the next 12 months, bro, you do the math. It may not be 10K, maybe a little less, and maybe a little more. I'm not the best at math, but don't discount the fact that you are getting paid if you're trying to stack your first 10K, 5 to 10K. And I'm so close, bro. I'm like at 80, maybe 8,800, I believe. But, give or take, because, bills and stuff are about to hit. But I'm really trying to be there. Like, it's like, why stop now? Why stop now when you're so close? Like, fuck how you feel. Just keep pushing past that, bro, because once you get that 10K and you're able to see that in your account, or just hold it cash, you be like, damn, it was worth it. And if I can do it again, I'll be at 20K. And then once you start getting to a position where you're like 10K, 15K, 20K, your decision making becomes a lot sharper, because you refined it just to get to that 5 or 10K. You know what I'm saying? You refined it over time. Now you may be able to pinch off that, and may take $2,000 from your 20K and learn how to make 50K. You know what I'm saying? And just you stay down, and you just keep refining it. You keep refining it. So that's really all I have to say. It's more mental than physical, bro. It's always more mental than physical, and everything, like I mentioned, is a lagging indicator. So what you do today, what you do right now, affects tomorrow, and tomorrow will affect next week, and next week will affect next month. That's why you can't move off how you feel, but you gotta realize where you are in life too. So that's really all I had to say. I feel like this video is kind of everywhere, but let me know what y'all want to know from me. I don't mind sharing whatever, but as of right now, we're getting closer to the goal. I just got to make sure I'm making the right decisions, because all it takes is one decision to put you in a position of power or poverty, off of one decision. So always remember that, and everything is a lagging indicator.